to the Benchwarmers podcast. I am Casey Coggins, joined by Alvin Hebert.
What it is.
No Andrew Lira this week. Got dad duties.
Dad problems. It's
yeah,
all good.
Yeah. Two kids, and I mean that takes a lot of time, I guess. Responsibilities and priorities. So, just gonna be me and Alvin talking hoops, all NBA coming out of the All-Star break, which we're not really gonna touch on because one, I didn't watch any of it other than the second half of the All-Star game. So I don't want to. I can talk about what I saw.
It was okay.
I loved the fourth quarter. So let's just talk about the Elam ending really quick, and then we'll move on. And the main focus of the podcast will be a couple storylines that we each have for the rest of the season. So the Elam ending was, like I said, awesome. I loved it. Ending on a free throw, meh. But like, I understand. Like, what are you gonna do? Not call the foul on James Harden pulling Anthony Davis down? Because if he doesn't do that, it's a dunk and game's over anyways. So, just before I dive into it, and my view on it, let me get your initial thoughts on the Elam ending. And if you want to kind of go into the first three quarters, because that does lead to the Elam ending, just take it away.
I mean, I thought it was good the fourth quarter. The way it ended, like on the free throws, like it's like, like you said, but it's like you're really not gonna call that foul.
It's a
like,
basketball game.
Yeah, like
it's a basketball game.
But like the way that ended, like you wanted to end it in a better way, right? But
right, if they wouldn't have called the charge on James Harden on Kyle Lowry, that was game.
Yeah.
If they don't call the charge, he hits that three, game over, and that's the more exciting way. Harden making a guy drop and hitting
the crossover. Yeah, especially in the All-Star game where they that's the time they want to see that type of flair.
Yeah. The one thing to me that I noticed about it was, in the fourth quarter, since it was only like one team had to score 24, that means every possession is critical.
Yeah.
Where if you're actually playing a 12-minute regular quarter, like team LeBron put up 51 in the first.
I mean, Kyle Lowry was out there taking charges.
But
like,
so that kind of plays to the point I was going to make is you don't see they pretty much said, look, here are our five guys. Like, we're gonna just play it out with these five guys, and whoever wins. And it was literally like the closing unit the entire time, essentially. LeBron was out for a little bit of the first part of the fourth quarter, but it was essentially like, look, Team LeBron was Chris Paul, veteran point guard, been in big games, been in big spots. LeBron,
make big shots.
Yeah. LeBron, Kawhi, James Harden, who doesn't necessarily have the big game reputation, but I mean, are you really not going to have him on the court? And then Anthony Davis, again, doesn't necessarily have the big game outside of his 1 year at Kentucky, but like that's your five.
Yeah.
And they just said, we're running that five. You didn't see Luka, you didn't see Ben Simmons, you didn't see Jason Tatum, you didn't see
Jokic,
Trae Young, I don't think was out there.
Nope.
But so Nick Nurse was the coach of Team Giannis. He put out Kyle Lowry and Pascal Siakam over a couple of the guys that made, like, Trae Young probably should have been on the court instead of Kyle Lowry.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Lowry played defense and like prevented, so it's kind of like pick your poison. But Team Giannis couldn't score.
Yeah, they had no scores on the floor.
Right, and you put Trae Young there because he can shoot from 35 feet easy. But yeah, so like that was to me what made it so compelling is like I'm watching every play and like Kawhi's ripping the ball out of a guy's hand on a rebound, and then You see like the body control of LeBron to be able to save the ball from being a backcourt violation on the final possession, like the passing you're seeing, the like just you see why Joel Embiid, when he's healthy, is a top 5 player in the league, where he's going at Anthony Davis, going at LeBron, going at whoever they can throw at him and just saying, all right, look, I'm going to back you down. You put me on the box.
Exactly.
And it's easy 2 points.
That's exactly my problem with him.
Right. So, I mean, that's possibly something we're going to dive into later in the pod. But just like watching essentially the 10 best players in the league on the court at the same time, fighting for every possession, it was awesome. It was, it felt like a playoff game. It felt like, I mean, we watch year in, year out teams going out there winning 131 to 120 in regulation, and then that same team, or those same 2 teams, can play in the playoffs and it's 95 to 90.
Yeah, because defense matters.
And it's not defense, but it's like, fuck, if I miss this 3, they're gonna take it down. And like you focus more on every possession instead of just running and gunning and just chucking 3s as quickly as you possibly can. You have to really take smart shots, efficient shots, and
you gotta make every possession count.
And that's what we saw, and that's what they were trying to do. I still think that there's tweaks to make it better. I do think that, like, not seeing somebody like Luka being able to like play in that fourth quarter, and Ben Simmons, who I'm like falling back in love with the guy as a player. Like his rookie year, I was all about him. You were on Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
And then, well, technically Ben Simmons' second year in the NBA, but his first year playing. And then last year it was kind of like the honeymoon's over, like grow up and
fix your game. Yeah.
And then this year I'm back. I'm just back in love. And so, like, if he's not even on the court, if Jason Tatum, like, you want to see these guys get some kind of run against them, because it also helps them come playoff time. Like, I just played against LeBron in a crunch time. Like, it helps. So I think it was awesome. Again, like the free throw thing, you'd like it to end some way, like, another way. But as from what I've been hearing from a lot of commentators, is this is how pickup games are ran from like 5 years old. You play to 11 by 1s and 2s, and the game ends when somebody gets to 11. Maybe they implement a win by 2 rule. I don't know if that was implemented.
Being grown up, win by 2 every time,
right? But like, I don't know if that was in there.
I don't know about that,
but it was exciting. It was.
I just wish it was like that for also the first 3 quarters.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the first 3 quarters, like, especially the first quarter, like, you just see them, like, they're just like playing around, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then it kind of like got a little bit serious as each quarter went. But I mean, if it was like that from the fourth quarter, from 1 through 4, like, I think it would be way better.
This is, I mean, the first time they're doing it. I mean, and you do. I heard a good point to finish this off. I heard a good point listening to one of the NBA podcasts, where the All-Star weekend is for kids.
Mm-hmm.
All-Star weekend is for just young fans of the game who like to see. It's like what's the saying? It's like, you want to see dope people doing dope shit. Like you want to see NBA players doing stuff that literally they're the only people on the earth that can do.
Yeah, it's a party scene.
So it's like the first 3 quarters being like, all right, we're gonna show you our range, we're gonna show you the highlight dunks, we're gonna show you the handle, we're gonna show you all of that stuff, and then fourth quarter, it's like, now we're gonna show you what it's like to do that in pressure packed situations.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you get a little bit of the best of both worlds. Maybe it's like a first and third quarter is the exhibition, and the second and fourth quarter is the Elam ending kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a different story for a different day, and we could talk for hours and hours and hours about how we can maybe fix the All-Star game, which was really fun for this time, and I enjoyed it.
In the right direction.
Just thing that popped into my head before we move on. Did Aaron Gordon actually get robbed?
Oh yeah, he got robbed.
Did he actually? I mean, I only saw the last dunk over Taco Fall, but from what the rest of the stuff that I've seen and heard, Derek Jones probably won it anyways, and Pat Connaughton got robbed too from not going to the finals because he actually made his dunks on the first time, and so it's like, I don't know if he actually got robbed, but I didn't watch it all. So,
because the Derek Jones last dunk, I thought it was a good dunk, but I didn't think it was a 50 dunk. But Aaron Gordon had 5 straight 50 dunks, and then they penalized him on the last dunk because he didn't fully clear a 7'3" center. You know what I mean? Like he scraped the back of his head.
7'5".
7'5". Yeah, it's like he scraped the back of his head.
It wasn't that it was the back of the thigh that got him. It wasn't like his knee hit him.
Yeah, it wasn't like he jumped in like he was just like short and like
he didn't put his hand on him.
Yeah, he didn't like use him as leverage to rise up higher or nothing. Like he just straight went up.
So, I tweeted an idea that I came up with about the dunk contest. Every dunker gets one dunk where they can tell the judges, or they can tell a ref, this is going to be my bonus 10-point dunk. But you only get those bonus 10 if it's actually a 50. So if you say this is going to be my bonus 10 dunk, and then they
on the
roll
first
it
try,
they roll it's a 47. You don't get those extra 10 points. But if it's a 50, you get a 60 instead, because I think it brings a little bit of strategy involved to it, but it also shows that dunks are different. Like you can't like a 50 dunk, one 50 dunk and another 50 dunk have different levels of 50. Like there's the dunk jumping over the mascot going under the legs from Aaron Gordon against Zach LaVine. That dunk's a 75 dunk. Dunking over Taco Fall is a 50 dunk. Like even if his thigh clipped the back of his head, it don't matter. That was a 50. But it apparently from what I heard is the judges were supposed to rule both dunks equal. Like after Derek Jones did his dunk, when Aaron Gordon did his, they were like, we're gonna give them the same grades,
and so then the judge will then decide who the winner is.
So since
somebody
they were
fucked up.
the people who were actually putting up the scores were apparently supposed, they had talked about it, and like we're gonna have them tie, and it's just gonna be a tie, like. It's not going to come down to anybody, and Dwayne Wade's getting shit because he gave Aaron Gordon a 9, and so that's all I know about.
It's also Derek Jones is a Miami Heat player, so
right. That's what I was.
Another reason why he was getting shit.
So I was just curious about that. So a little longer on the All-Star game and All-Star weekend, but what do you expect? That's kind of how we roll here. Let's get into our storylines. We each have 2 storylines that we're just interested in seeing how the year plays out. We're going to keep our eyes on like, will certain things happen? And we're going to go one by one. I'm going to go, you're going to go, yada yada. Will the Spurs miss the playoffs? That's number 1 for me.
Spicy.
As a Spurs fan, born and raised in San Antonio, The last time they missed the playoffs, I was 6, and it was the David Robinson got hurt, and they were mildly tanking to get
Tim Duncan.
to get decent lottery odds, and they didn't even have the number 1 lottery odds. The Celtics did that year, but
Scandal.
Yeah, can't change history. I'm just so curious because right now they're
23-31.
Yes, 23-31. They're 5 games out of the eighth spot, which is held by Memphis. Talent-wise, they have enough talent to do it. Time-wise, I don't know. But the big thing, not talent, not time, is they just can't get their act together. They go up by 23 on Denver and immediately lose that lead. That lead was gone in 6 minutes.
Yeah,
23 points in 6 minutes. Gone. Poof. Vamoose.
It's like it all happens in one game. They show that they could ball, and then in the same game, it just like flips on a dime, and it's just like, what? You lost that game?
Yeah. So just the last 10 games they've played. So they're 5 games out of the 8th spot behind Memphis. Last 10, Memphis is 8-2. San Antonio's 3-7. If you flip those, San Antonio's in the 8th spot. Now they're on the rodeo road trip. Typically, when they get back from the road trip, they have more home games. Their schedule's backloaded with home games, and they're decent at home. They're 14-2 at home. They're 9-19 on the road. So I don't know. Like, and I mean, I'm going to watch them regardless, but like the fact that they're going to, if they make the playoffs, they set the record for most consecutive playoff berths. Right now they're tied. But they set the record this year if they can make it. You have, like, DeMar's been fantastic.
The past few games, yeah.
For the most part. Like, he had to, I mean, for the past couple months, offensively, he's been the catalyst. The only problem is when he's so good offensively and it's still a detriment to your team, you're probably not putting the right pieces alongside him.
Well,
and
so how do you feel about the buyout on Jay Crowder? You feel like that
DeMar Carroll,
yeah.
I mean, same player.
Yeah, it's the same guy. Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't playing. Like, that's just like this. It goes down to the same thing I've complained about all year with them is I think this is the worst Pop has done with rotations. Now I'm not one of those Spurs fans who's like, Pop needs to go, RC needs to go, we need a new regime, we need a fresh face, we need
like somebody we know.
Like, we don't need any of that. Like, it's just, Pop's not having a good year. Like, he didn't have a good year with USA basketball. He's not having a good year with the Spurs. And like, the lineups that we should be seeing more often it's funny because they're more Pop-centric lineups. Like, defense first, athletic, like, not really worrying about can these guys shoot threes, but do they try hard? Do they play hard? Do they hustle? Do they defend? Like, we don't see DeJounte, Derek White, Lonnie Walker on the court at the same time. Ever.
When we should.
Pair those 3 guys with DeMar and LaMarcus. Sure, there's not a lot of 3-point shooting, but
you got people that could shoot the ball.
I mean, Lonnie's a decent shooter. Derek White's a better than decent shooter. I mean, he's not Davis Bertans, but he can catch and shoot. DeJounte's vastly improved as a 3-point shooter. So, I'm just pulling their 3-point percentages right here. You have computer froze.
Oh, nice.
Lonnie's a 39% 3-point shooter. Now he's only taking 1.3 a game, but like 39% still 39%.
Yeah.
DeJounte's at 38, and Derek White's at 36. So Derek White is an average 3-point shooter. I believe the league average is 36, 37.
That's good. I mean,
and like with LaMarcus now he's shooting 2.9 3-pointers a game, and he has the highest percentage on the team. LaMarcus is our best 3-point shooter, or the Spurs' best 3-point shooter. And then like Patty Mills. So I had hyped up Bryn Forbes for the last couple of years, thinking he was going to just be the replacement Patty, which is ideally what he is. He is a small guard who can shoot the lights out, who can handle decent. And I was like, he's Patty just with better defense. I was absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong.
There we go.
He blows assignments. He's short. He doesn't move his feet as well as he should. And then he's, as a knockdown shooter, he's shooting 37.6% on 6 threes a game. 3 attempts. So he's making 2.3 threes a game, but he's just, his PER is 11.
His play is not matching up.
You know who? So his PER is 11. Marco Bellinelli's 9.16. We know how I feel about Marco Bellinelli. Where compared to that, you have LaMarcus Aldridge at 20.37. You have DeMar DeRozan at 22. You have Patty Mills at 15. A couple outliers there. Jakob Poeltl at 19.5. DeJounte at 17. Like, out of all the rotation players, like the main rotation players, we're not going to count Metu, Drew Eubanks, or like Kelvin Johnson, Damari Carroll, and Quindary Weatherspoon.
Who?
Yeah, the guy. He's only played in one game. He's actually doing really well in the G League. But out of the main rotation players, the 2 worst players on the team are Bryn Forbes and Marco Bellinelli. Like, at what point do you say this isn't working? Like, Bryn Forbes starting 53 of 54 games is not, it's not working. What did the Spurs do the worst so far this year? Start the game. They get down big. They have to claw back to make it close. And then they're gassed in the fourth quarter because they had to try so damn hard to catch up. And then they end up losing. That's pretty much the story of this year, is they have to try so hard, and then if anything goes wrong, if it's a bad lineup, if it's a couple shots, whatever, it spirals quickly. And I mean, I haven't mentioned guys like Rudy Gay and Trey Lyles. I brought up Jakob Poeltl. He should be playing a lot more than 17 minutes a game.
Yes.
He should be playing 28 minutes, 29 minutes a game, closer to the 30.
He should be playing Forbes minutes.
And that's what's so frustrating about this season as a Spurs fan is I know there are guys on this team who are quality starters, quality players. The roster construction is a playoff team. They made the playoffs last year with the same team.
Essentially, yeah.
Minus DeJounte. And DeJounte sure as hell isn't the problem. Yeah. He plays into it a little bit every now and then with turnovers and decision making and being a little risky on defense because he's so long and lengthy that he's like, I can get that steal and then get back and contest a shot. But we like, you've seen him this year shut down Dame. You've seen, or not shut down, but like definitely slow him down. I think in the first game that Portland and San Antonio played, Dame had 9 points going into the fourth quarter. DeJounte hits his minutes restrictions and Dame ends up with 30. He's been able to slow down Devin Booker at times. He's been able to slow down, I believe, Donovan Mitchell. He had slowed down Jamal Murray. He had slowed down, like, when he's in. Yeah,
he could lock you down.
So, like, you want to see certain things. And the teams that they're fighting this ace spot with, Memphis, led by 2 rookies and a second-year player, and then Dylan Brooks, who's, I think, in his 3rd year out of Oregon. A lot of young players. The Pelicans, a lot of young players. And the players they got from the Lakers, all inexperienced when it comes to like important games. Portland, they're just injured.
Yeah,
Dame.
It's just a bad year.
It's like,
it's just one of those years.
Yeah, and then those are the 4 teams really. I mean, so Phoenix is right there too. Again, like,
young team.
They have Aaron Baines, who's been there. Like,
is Trevor Ariza still there?
I think, yeah, Ariza's still there. Ricky Rubio has played an important game, so they at least have some like veteran leadership. And then Devin Booker's just taking it to another level this year. And then hell, even Sacramento, they're 21-33. They definitely have. They're 7 games out. They have the most ground to make up,
and they got their inner problems going on too.
Yeah, so it's like, I'm really casting them aside, but it's it's really like these 5 teams, with Phoenix being 6.5 games back, vying for the last spot, because I don't think Dallas is going to lose more games than they're going to win, and they're 4.5 up on Memphis. So something would have to drastically go wrong for them to slide out. I mean, if regression to the mean can happen, they're 18-8 on the road. By comparison, that is the 2nd best record on the road in the Western Conference.
But I don't think they play that well at home, though.
They don't. They're 15-14 at home, but so they have the 4th best road record in the league, and they're the 7th seed in the West. Typically, like, I wouldn't be surprised to see that number get closer to a 500 record. But it's all like wait and see stuff for them. Yeah. They do have more road games left than home games. So if the regression to the mean happens, they could slide. But I don't see anybody but those really 4 teams fighting for this 8th spot. And really, to me, it comes down to the 3, with Dame out for, I don't know, has he been listed as just out indefinitely? I don't know what he's actually listed as. But I mean, with him hurt, if they just a 2-week slide, they're done.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't think McCollum could keep them afloat for even for Dame to come back and say like, all right, we can make a push like to grab the spot.
So before we go on to the next storyline, give me your 2 cents on the Spurs.
Again, I think to me, I think they're a playoff team. I believe I had them in the playoffs, like in the lower seeds. At that, I think it was like around 7, 8
we
seed.
all had them in.
And I feel like the Damari Carroll, getting rid of him should open up somebody else in the rotation, hopefully.
Well, he wasn't even in the rotation. It literally
Right.
does nothing. that spot literally does nothing. He had only played in 12 games.
Oh wow, that feel. I didn't realize.
15. He played in 15. Sorry.
Uh.
I just flipped the 2 or the 5.
But I just feel like if they played the right rotations, like how we said
Yeah.
earlier,
Yeah.
I feel like they got enough firepower. Because one, I know like the Grizzlies is the hot thing right now, and the Pelicans too. But I feel like they're susceptible. They're susceptible more to doing the drop than the Spurs are.
Yeah, that's
Like, cause I could see them go like on a big like losing streak, even though they're like 8-2 in their last 10 right now.
right.
But on the other hand, I could still see them like go on a losing streak, and all that shit just like blows up.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was really getting at is like the Spurs are the same team. They're talent wise, they're a better team than they were last year.
Yeah, because now you got DeJounte Murray.
Well, and you're playing Lonnie Walker more. Like Derek White's a year older, a year better. Like you're ideally, all of these guys are a year older, one more year experience. You know what you have. Like they should be better than 23 and 31. So will they missed the playoffs for the first time since 1995-96.
I'm leaning towards yes right now.
Yeah, I have it as yes as well, because I mean Memphis could go on a slide. We talked about the inexperience, but I'm also scared about New Orleans because New Orleans is fully healthy and they got some players. And it's more the fact that the NBA is just different now than it used to be. It used to actually matter if you had the veteran leadership, the players who knew the scheme. Like it used to be that, but now it's these guys are just athletic. They don't care if they're down 15 or they're up 30. They're playing hard. They like the exuberance that they put into playing every game is why you see the Pelicans. I mean, they lost their last game before the All-Star break, but they're 6-4 in their last 10. And we're going to be talking about Zion and like how insane he's been. So, yeah, I don't think that the old guard is going to be able to hold off the young Bucks for
very long. Yeah.
So unfortunately, Spurs missing the playoffs, but
Yes.
maybe we'll see. Maybe if it gets to a point, you'll actually see Pop be like, all right, look, we're going to just play the young guys, get them the experience. Like this just isn't happening. And hell, maybe they start losing more and they fall.
Get that lottery pick.
Get a better pick. And, I mean, it's not a great draft, but shit. So what's your storyline? Because we're
Mine was
30 minutes in and we're getting to the second storyline.
Mine, actually, just a nice little segue because we was talking about Memphis and New Orleans, is the Rookie of the Year battle.
It's almost like I did that on purpose.
Oh man, setup. But again, the Rookie of the Year battle to me right now is Ja Morant, like hands down, because I know Zion's in the mix, but
Agreed. I
the
think
injury and then him only played how many games? Like just a handful of games. probably 15 or something like that. It's not much.
Yeah.
But
I don't even think it's 15, honestly.
right, that even sounded high, right?
10.
All right. And so to me, that automatically disqualifies him. But the asterisk is, if he somehow is the reason why the Pelicans get into the 8th seed over Memphis, like, I feel like he got to be probably rookie of the year at that point.
Do you mind if I read off his stats for you?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So in 10 games, he's playing 27 minutes a game. He's averaging 22.1 points, 7.5 rebounds, 2.2 assists, 0.7 steals, 0.4 blocks. He's only fouling 1.7 times a game,
Which is crazy.
And yeah, especially for a guy that plays the way he does.
And big.
His player efficiency rating is 25.48. Those are all-star numbers.
Most definitely.
Because if you extrapolate it to the 30 per 36 and actually play him like full-time minutes, if he was playing the same amount of minutes that Brandon Ingram is, who's at 34, like, he's playing 7 less minutes and averaging 2.8 points less. He's averaging more rebounds, and almost the same steals and almost the same blocks, and has a better efficiency rating.
And imagine if he was healthy all year and doing that, like, where would the Pelicans be? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So yeah, what he's doing is just insane. Like, some of the historical numbers, like people he's being compared to, you just don't see.
Yeah. And again, Ja Morant, who I also predicted to be rookie of the year, I believe, over Zion.
Yeah. Well,
but that was before Zion. We knew Zion got hurt or whatever.
No, it was after.
Was it after?
Yeah, because me and Andrew picked RJ Barrett.
Oh, okay. He's styling on dudes.
Yeah.
Like highlight reel. And
that's the thing for him though. It's all highlights, because I mean, I guess statistically he's
doing his thing. He's not showing that he has to be like the main scorer on that team, because they're all doing their thing.
He is their leading scorer though.
Yeah.
I just pulled up their numbers. They have 5 guys averaging double figures, which is insane. He's their leading scorer. So like I did with Zion, let me read off his numbers. He's played 48 games, so 38 more. And at this pace, I think he's only missed 6 games. So if, let's say he misses another like 4, he's going to end up playing 72 games. Where Zion, if he plays the rest of their games, is only going to play half of the season, if that. So that's why, like, Ja definitely has the edge, but like his numbers are 30 minutes a game, 17.6 points, 3.5 rebounds, 7.1 assists, 1 steal, and 0.3 blocks, 3 turnovers a game. His assist to turnover ratio is 2.2, and his PER is 18.43. So that's a 7-point efficiency rating difference between Zion and Ja. The crazy thing to me is I think the Pelicans are immensely more talented than this Memphis team.
Yeah, I agree.
And there's that 5-game difference between the two, or 5.5, whatever it actually is. And it's kind of because Ja Morant has this team and Taylor Jenkins, their first year head coach,
playing with fire.
Exciting.
Yo, like they had a game on TNT, I think, and that was when he was he did like an alley-oop pass, but he did like the fake pass like behind, he was going to pass it to the dude behind him, but he just like ooped it to the next guy.
Yeah.
Like he's just like styling on these dudes, and then They're playing with fire. They're playing with excitement. Like, you kind of want to like cheer for them and hope they get the 8th seed, so they do make the playoffs a little bit exciting in the first round.
They'd be fun, but not nearly as fun as Lonzo, Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram all playing the Lakers in the first round of the playoffs. The first year that they got traded for Anthony Davis, the Pelicans-Laker drama, the Zion LeBron stuff.
Yeah,
like
the storylines.
The storylines on the Pelicans-Lakers.
That would be crazy.
Out the wazoo.
And then like the attitude too, like when the whole Iggy want to be bought out or traded and all that stuff, and they was just like, yeah,
punk
go.
ass.
Yeah. I loved it. And they Steph Curry tried to chime in and they shot back at Steph Curry too. I was like, yes, I love it. Like, love their swag right now.
Yeah. They're what Sacramento wanted to be last year, but a good team.
They're actually winning.
Because Sacramento had that same thing, like super fast, athletic, fun point guard, very athletic, young, big, who can do a lot of different things. A good shooting small guard or shooting guard. Buddy Hield's better than Dylan Brooks, but same kind of role.
Mm-hmm.
Tried to be a decent defender, but a great shooter. A lot of the characteristics are the same between those two teams, except Sacramento is ran by the patients are running the asylum.
Yeah.
That saying.
Because Lottie Divac is a little bitch.
Well, he's has something to do with it. I mean, the owner's also kind of the owner's the one that said, we're going to just keep one guy back on the offensive side and just cherry pick the entire game. We're going to play 5-on-4 defensively.
Well, apparently the owner had a meeting with everybody and was all like, get this shit right or somebody's being fired.
Would you like to chime in anything else with the Rookie of the Year thing? It's just,
I think we pretty much.
I mean, I think it's locked up.
Yeah, to me, it's locked up. But again, there's that little caveat.
I think it's gonna be the Joel Embiid, Malcolm Brogdon thing.
Yeah,
and to me, it's going to be like, do the media members who vote on this see, we really gave Rookie of the Year to Malcolm Brogdon instead of Joel Embiid, and like, are they going to have buyer's remorse on that and be like, Zion's really the Rookie of the Year because he's all that we talked about. He came into the league against the Spurs and had that insane fourth quarter. He was on restricted minutes, but yet still had the best efficiency rating on the team and propelled them into the playoffs. Like,
yeah, the storylines on that would be crazy too.
But so I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, I don't see it happening.
I think we're both on Ja. I think we're very simpatico tonight with our predictions.
we got the vibe going.
Yeah. Where we both have Ja. It's Ja's to lose.
It is.
Catastrophe would have to happen for him to lose this. So, yeah, we didn't hit on that as much as I talked about the Spurs. But
we hit the right points.
Yes. And I mean, this is, if we're going to consider this a certain teams like football, this is a Cowboys podcast. I'm not even a Cowboys fan, but this is a Cowboys podcast. For basketball, this is a Spurs podcast.
And I'm not a Spurs fan.
I know.
But I respect y'all.
You're in San Antonio. You're Spurs fan by marriage.
By marriage.
Yeah.
I'm married in.
So the second storyline that I'm really intrigued about, just speaking of kind of young players, their progression, what we've seen. If we've seen this from like Ja and Zion, like what are they going to be 5-6 years down the road? Well, we're seeing a guy who was all potential his first couple years, blossoming into arguably the best player in the league. And if you just boiled it down to numbers, he is the best player in the league. And this is Giannis.
Freak.
And for me, is this the year that Giannis cements his legacy as not just the best player in the league? Because, like I said, boil it down to numbers, he's the best. Best most efficient offensive player, arguably the best defensive player, leading the best team.
Probably the best defense team too, also.
Yeah, I don't have the team stats up. But I think they are. I mean, if the season ended today, their point differential, the Bucks, best in NBA history. like by a point and a half, I think they're up on the second team. Their numbers are they're unparalleled. No team in NBA history is doing what they do on a nightly basis. Sure, the Warriors won 73 games. The 96 Bulls won 72. But the Bucks are on pace for 69.9. So they're on pace for 70. And it's not just the wins. It's if Giannis continues this, he's the odds-on favorite to win MVP, which would be 2 years in a row. Which Steph did, Steve Nash did. Nash's are definitely questionable. I mean, to me, I think Steph's are both questionable. I think one of them could have been James Harden.
The one where he was unanimous.
No, not that year. The year before. But I mean, even Tim Duncan's back-to-back MVPs, you could probably question those because that's also prime Shaq, or young Kobe, Kevin Garnett having amazing years. There was a lot of competitive players it was a competitive MVP race for all of these back-to-back winners. I think LeBron did it. I think LeBron went back-to-back in 09 and 10, maybe. He has 3. And then there was the one Derrick Rose year, who deserved it. But
yes, he did.
Going down the rabbit hole there. So Giannis is averaging 30, 13.5, 5.8, 1.1, 1.1 steals and blocks. And his PER is 32.29. That's quite good.
To say the least.
Yeah. It's let's just say it hasn't been done all that much in the league. And I'm almost getting to the point where if Giannis wins this MVP, if he plows through the East, if he wins a title, if he plays either of the LA teams, think of who he's playing. Yeah. Is the 2 other guys in the top 3. I think he catapults to a top 35 player of all time.
Does he have to win the MVP?
He has to win both MVP and title to be a top 35.
And title?
To just vault into the top 35. Because how many times have we seen great players, they just fit? James Harden, to me, is one of the best offensive players of all time. I mean, I think the rules kind of dictate him offensively. But right now, I wouldn't put him in my top 35.
James Harden, you're talking about?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
If he wins the title this year and he wins Finals MVP and he continues this torrid pace that he's on, then maybe I'd be getting there, because of how good he's been. But I mean, like, Giannis these last 2 years, it helped that he grew 3 inches from his rookie season till now. Like, I saw him walking next to Anthony Davis in the All-Star game. He's fucking taller than Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Like
I don't even know what they have him listed as, but his height is not what they.
It's insane. What, like, just, I mean, the Greek Freak is the perfect nickname for this guy, because he handles, he's as nimble and agile as a guard. He's as big as a center. Like, there's a reason why people were comparing him to like 92 Shaq last year. Like,
yeah, and now imagine if he develops his shot, like pure shot, like, dude, he's just going to dominate the league once he's at his 100% potential.
Yeah, it's so. I mean, I would say he's about at 100% potential right now. Like, the only thing that's missing from his game is a more reliable jump shot, and that's why my storyline is, can he cement his legacy? Because what the Raptors did in the playoffs last year, and then what Team LeBron did in the All-Star game, is when Giannis has the ball, we're just gonna sink into the paint, and if your shooters are making shots, your shooters are making shots. But you have to find those guys. You have to make that pass. Like, the way that he's been able to be defended so far, he has to figure out a way to break that.
Yeah.
And I mean, as great as any player in NBA history has been, they've always needed
a jump shot.
Well, no, not a jump shot, but like they needed the right supporting cast.
Oh.
Like, Jordan doesn't have a title if Scottie isn't as great as he is. If, John Paxson doesn't hit a shot. If Steve Kerr doesn't hit a shot. If he doesn't have Bill Cartwright and Horace Grant or Dennis Rodman and Tony Kukoc, like, yeah, LeBron. I was getting to LeBron. Jordan is still the catalyst. LeBron was still the catalyst, but he still needed Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. He needed Kyrie to make that big shot. He needed Kevin Love to play decent defense on Steph that last possession too. And I could just go down the line. So Giannis is going to need Chris Middleton, Dante DiVincenzo, the Lopez twins. Like,
now Marvin Williams.
Yeah, what can Marvin Williams provide them? He's going to need those guys, but where he's going is win MVP again. And it's not just like Steph winning MVP back-to-back years, because not once in those MVP years did I think he was a better player than LeBron. Giannis is a different animal. He's a buck.
Yeah.
Steph changed the game because he could shoot from anywhere at any time. Not a great defender.
No.
He's a pretty good passer. His game is just predicated on his ability to dribble and shoot. Giannis is everything but his shot. He's 30-13. You don't see that, like, ever. I
think
I literally just put in to Basketball Reference players, single seasons, 30 points per game, 13 rebounds per game, and a player efficiency rating of 30 or more. Wilt Chamberlain.
Sounds about right.
End of list.
Yeah, that's right.
So he's like I've said, doing something that we don't see. He's breaking basketball in a sense, because I guess the NBA kind of goes in waves like this, where it's a player does something so good or so big or so something. Like the 2000 Shaq, when he was 300 pounds but still as nimble as ever. Teams were drafting 7'1", 300-pounders just to try to guard him.
Yeah.
Like, the Spurs had a guy named Mingji Batir. They signed Rasho Nesterovic just to be a big person to guarding Shaq.
Yeah.
With Steph and the Warriors, like, you had to figure out how you're going to guard him. You had to change. Defenses had to change. The athleticism of players had to change. There were some quality point guards in the league when Steph came onto the scene that are no longer relevant because they can't contend with a guy like that, with guys like Dame. And Giannis is kind of going into the same mold. Is teams are now going big. Like, just 2 years ago, teams were going small.
Oh yeah, now they want you lanky and can you handle the ball?
Yeah, and you have to have size. Like, think of the 76ers. Here's our transition. So think of the 76ers. Think of how they built their team. They literally signed Al Horford to be a Giannis defender. Like, they have a 5-man unit of guys who are all 6'9" and taller, just because that's what the Bucks are going to throw out there with Giannis, Lopez, Chris Middleton, and insert player Z there. And to me, it just all boils down to two things. Can Giannis deal with the way that teams are defending him? Can he find the open shooter? And can those shooters knock down their shots?
Also, can he knock down his shots?
That's not even as important.
Consistently.
To me, that's not quite as important as the other things that's going on. I don't know if anybody can stop him in the East, at least. There may be some people in the West that might be able to stop him. But I feel like we need to get onto your last storyline and then wrap it up, because your last storyline deals with the Bucks too.
It does. And basically it's my dark horse to come out. It wasn't like necessarily as my dark horse in the East to come out. It was just like a team who's like a dark horse team that could make some noise. And right now I'm leaning towards Miami, because I feel
Iggy's washed, bro.
I don't even want to talk about that, but I just I do feel like with Bam, him, and Dragic, and then even the rookie,
Tyler
Hero,
Nunn.
Yeah, Nunn. Like they just got people that's just balling that could play.
I am gonna
toot
my own horn. Let me toot my own horn. Before the season started, you know how you had picked Ja to win Rookie of the Year, and I was just going off of the limb and just saying RJ.
Yeah.
I picked Miami as my 3 seed in the East.
You did.
I fully believed in their roster.
I didn't. Until like now that they're balling and they're playing. They just remind me of a better Grizzlies team right now.
Yeah, I think if you're going to be a competitive team, you need an alpha wing.
And they got that. We know they got an alpha.
It's not just alpha with a capital A there. Like the whole fucking word is capitalized in alpha for Jimmy Butler. It's almost like, I mean, to talk about the Memphis comparison again, is like if they were to boil down grit and grind like the Tony Allen Zebo Grizzlies, they boiled it down, they like made it into a potion, and you gave it to anybody in the NBA.
They gave it to Jimmy.
Jimmy Butler took that whole shit and fucking chugged it.
Delicious.
He's as I mean, he kind of called himself like he's a villain. Like he relished being a villain. So this was
in Minnesota.
The storyline isn't necessarily like, is there a dark horse? Who will be the dark horse? Can anybody beat the Bucks? It's more of a, is Miami good enough to come out of the East?
Yeah.
That's more of what the storyline is, because they match up pretty well with the Celtics. They match up pretty well with Toronto. They match up. It's an all right matchup against the Sixers.
But it's the Sixers.
Yeah.
And Brett Brown.
And I just don't think they match up very well against the Bucks.
I mean, because you got the Greek Freak there, like, but I think with everybody else,
it's not even just the Greek Freak there. It's if you try to run that like the old Spurs playing LeBron defense, where it's just like, let LeBron have his shit.
Sag off, and yeah,
let LeBron do whatever he wants. Just don't let anybody else score. Are you putting Bam on him?
I mean, probably to start off.
Yeah, like, and then so Jimmy guards Chris Middleton.
Yeah.
And then it's tough. Like, you're going to have to hope that Eric Bledsoe's as bad as he was last year. And
I mean, Chris Middleton was kind of bad too in certain key points.
Yeah, right. So it's like, but just like the Warriors in the year before they won the title for the first time, I believe, the 2013-2014 season, that was when they played the Spurs in the second round, and they lost to the Spurs. But you kind of like,
you saw it.
Yeah, and then the way that they lost to the Spurs, it was competitive. They took their licks. They went home. They fired Mark Jackson, hired Steve Kerr. And the next year they came out like gangbusters. They were, I think, the number 2. They were the 1 or 2 seed that year.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think they kind of lucked. They got the injury luck because they didn't play a team with their starting point guard at all in the playoffs. 0 starting point guards. Yeah. They were all hurt.
Yeah.
Mike Conley, Kyrie Irving, Patrick Beverley, and I can't think of the last.
Russell Westbrook?
No, I don't know if they played the Thunder that year. But yeah, they didn't play a starting point guard that year. But like Milwaukee, they got to the conference finals last year. They took their licks from Kawhi and the Raptors, and now they're coming back with a better team another year. Like, the only difference is they don't have Malcolm Brogdon, who was probably their second best player in the playoffs last season.
Mm-hmm.
But typically experience from the other guys will outweigh that. So it does. I think it comes down to Miami needs the 3 seed if they're going to come out of the East.
Just so they have like the better matchups to get to the Bucks. So
if you flip the Celtics and Heat right now, I mean, that's a 3-game differential. The Celtics are 3 games up. But if you just flip them, the Heat would have the Pacers in the first round, which I think is a dream matchup for them.
Yeah.
Because they just put Bam on Sabonis and Jimmy on Oladipo. That's a wrap.
That's lockdown right there.
And then they play either Toronto or Brooklyn. So they're playing Toronto in the second round. And Toronto's been the biggest surprise all season, really. Like maybe
the way they're playing,
Memphis, but like Toronto is 40-15. 40-15. Like
after losing their best player.
Yeah, and Danny Green. I should have said and Kawhi Leonard, making Danny Green be their best player. And they've been dealing with all sorts of different injuries all year. But I think Miami matches up pretty well with them. Plus, you're asking Pascal Siakam to be the best player in a series that he hasn't had to do before, and he was awful in the finals last year.
Yeah.
So there's a path. There's a path for the Miami Heat. They just have to deal with so much, and it's a big climb. I mean, it's a top, like, if they end up as the 4 seed like they are right now, Philly in the first round, fuck.
Yeah.
And then Milwaukee in the second round, fuck.
Like, if you gotta do Milwaukee in the second round, like, damn.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you might.
Like, I had a little faith in you, but
yeah. So what? Let's get this wrapped up here, with one last question, about the Heat. I mean, I made my Iggy's Wash comment because I watched the finals last year. Like, I mean,
yeah, we are. I mean, if you was watching it seriously, like
taking all of the season off so far, like maybe he'll have fresh legs in the playoffs, and you're not gonna need to rely on him very much, but my question is right now, is Jimmy Butler a good enough player to be the best player on a finals team?
I think so.
Because I don't.
You don't?
I think he's a very, very good player. I don't know if I have him as a top 10 player. I just don't. I see him being. It's a shame because we talked about him being an alpha. Like, he carries himself. He's Kyrie Irving.
Ooh.
He's a taller Kyrie Irving. As talented as it gets, he is a two-way player. He has the ability offensively. He has the ability defensively. Now, Jimmy Butler might be an 80 offense, 80 defense, where Kyrie's like a 95 offense and a 65 defense. But Kyrie carries himself as an alpha. And where has that got him? Without LeBron, nowhere. The Celtics made the conference finals when he was hurt. And the Brooklyn Nets have a losing record when he plays.
Yeah. Kyrie
Irving, great talent. Not a good leader. Not a good best player on the team. He's not.
I know Kyrie Irving. Yeah, for Kyrie Irving, yeah.
Jimmy Butler, when he was the best player with the Bulls, for that 1 year I believe he was there, caused locker room turmoil. They missed the playoffs, I believe, or maybe they got the 8th seed.
Oh, that was also his contract year too.
And then the next year, the Minnesota debacle. Last year, the Philadelphia 76ers issues. And I mean, that wasn't necessarily all him. It's just, I don't think he's that guy. I think he's like a a Steve Francis, Steph Marbury kind of like that dude is a baller. But if he's our best player, we have no chance.
Oh, I mean, I want to go as far as saying no chance.
The role players are gonna have to play absolutely out of their mind good. I don't think relying on rookie Kendrick Nunn, rookie Tyler Hero, past his prime Goran Dragic, first year really in the spotlight Bam, Wade needs a wheelchair Andre Iguodala, Duncan Robinson.
It's just, I know he's an alpha for real. Like for real, he's an alpha. Also,
I mean, I know you have that affinity for him from Chicago, and that the personality he has.
It's mainly the personality that he has.
But to me, when that's your personality, but you're not as good as LeBron, but you're not as good as Kawhi. Hell, when Paul George is healthy, he's not as good as Paul George.
Oof.
He's closer to Paul George, but Paul George is 3 inches taller. He's a better shooter. He's a better passer, and he's a better defender. Like last year, Paul George healthy before the shoulder stuff, probably going to come second place in MVP voting. Jimmy Butler, down on the list because of the shit he pulled in Minnesota and going to Philadelphia.
But that's the reason though. It's not because of his game. It's because he straight up deboed motherfuckers in Minnesota and in Philadelphia.
But his number, I mean, and his numbers just didn't match up. Like his game didn't match up to the level of Paul George last year before the shoulder injuries.
Mm-hmm.
He's good, but he needs to realize he needs to stop thinking that he needs to stop trying to be, maybe not stop trying to be, because that's not the comparison I'm trying to make. If he keeps going down this path, he's going to be Carmelo Anthony. He's going to be all-time kind of talent, but thinks he's better than he actually is and doesn't realize that, hey, maybe I should put myself into a good situation so that I can actually win a title. Guess what players did that? Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, LeBron James, Shaquille O'Neal, like these all-time great players, these other greats in the league. Think of who's won the championship the last 5 years. Kawhi, I mean, he was a bitch about it, but,
yeah.
But he knows, he knew that he needed to be in a situation that was different. Like, I mean,
that's why I feel like that's why he went to Miami.
He went to Miami because of Pat Riley and because he got paid.
But Pat Riley, he doesn't put up with prima donna bullshit, because when LeBron James tried to pull that over there, he shut that shit down real quick.
He did. But guess who LeBron James joined? Prime Dwayne Wade and prime Chris Bosh.
Mm-hmm.
Kawhi, he joined a good team with the Raptors. Like the Raptors the year before had made the conference finals and lost to LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
He had joined a good team in Toronto, took him over the top. But guess what he didn't do? He didn't say, let me go to a team and be the alpha dog on a team by myself and try to carry a bunch of people.
He doesn't say a lot.
Well, right, but what the rumors that came out was he told the Clippers, go get Paul George,
mm-hmm.
and I'll come.
Yeah.
Like, he's smart enough to realize I need to not worry about being an alpha. I need to worry about winning. And I think Jimmy tries to do both too much. And when you do both too much, it becomes a detriment. That's just
Yeah.
that's how I feel.
I mean,
and
I can see that. I can see that side, yeah, but
that's
I
just
feel
how I
like
see how it works in the NBA. Is I mean, Dirk Nowitzki had to put his pride on the back burner. Tim Duncan had to put his pride on the back burner.
Tim Duncan never had an issue with his pride.
Right. I mean, but he, like, any of it, he's like, look, I'm going to do this. Kobe Bryant, guess what happened when he let his pride get a little too big? They lost Shaq. He missed the playoffs. He demanded a trade. And then they get Pau Gasol in his prime with Andrew Bynum in his prime and Lamar Odom in his prime. And they win 2 championships. Like, the pride thing can get in the way a little too much to me. Especially in the NBA where it's a 12-man roster and it's 5-on-5. One man's pride is going to be more of a detriment. Because in the NFL, if a wide receiver, the diva wide receiver, has too much pride, guess what happens? They just don't throw him the ball.
I don't know about that.
They don't even need to worry about him because he can go and piss and moan all he wants.
They still threw Antonio Brown the ball.
That's true. That is definitely true. But it's, you know what, 10 plays out of 80. Like, it's a little different when every possession you have to rely on this one guy. So I mean, none of that was to say that I dislike Jimmy Butler.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think he's the best player on the championship team or an NBA Finals team. I don't think he's that guy. So wrapping up, let's just ask the question. It goes between both of our last storylines. Will Giannis cement his legacy? Can Miami be the dark horse in the East and make it out of there? Is it Milwaukee against whoever in the West?
Milwaukee versus whoever in LA?
Yeah.
Yeah, right now, yes.
And I'm the same way. It's
nobody's playing like them. They don't got the Greek Freak who's playing out of this world. Like,
honestly, the closest guy, and this is going to tie into something I said a little earlier, the closest guy that has like the physical ability to deal with the Greek Freak, Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons has the build, has the height, has the athleticism.
I mean, you could say Joel Embiid.
He's not as athletic.
I mean, he's not athletic, but he has
the build
and the size.
But Ben Simmons is the build and the size with the agility, with the speed, all of that other stuff. Like, that's why I think if I'm Philly, I kind of want to land in the 4 or 5 spot because I want to see Milwaukee early in the playoffs, not late.
If you're Philly, you want to see Milwaukee early?
I want to see Milwaukee early before they get kind of a footing into playoff basketball. And like, I want to see them as early as possible. But you just have to deal with either the Celtics or the Heat in round 1. And so that's the tough part. But like, for Philly, you want to see them early. For Miami, you want to see them late.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I still think Philly seeing them early, they're going to get mollywopped.
It's going to be good. I mean, before the season started, we talked about like this season has so much parity, even though we all picked 76ers Clippers in the finals before the season started. But like, as you're watching it, you're like, damn, there's like 10 teams that can make the final. I mean,
it's so open. It's not like a closed and shut case. It's still open, but I mean,
in a 7-game series, I don't think anybody's beating either of the LA teams. And it's hard to see it in the East beating Milwaukee. Like, there's a reason why these 3 teams are heavy favorites to win the championship. Like, they're all like plus 300 and everybody else is like plus 2,500.
Yeah.
But if we woke up in June to watch an NBA Finals game and we were watching like Boston, Utah, how surprised would you actually be? I'd be a little surprised, but
I'll be
like,
a little
I wouldn't be
surprised,
like,
but I wouldn't be like, oh my god, like
it
it's
wouldn't be
Boston
like
and
watching Memphis, Brooklyn.
Utah. Then that you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So, any last words for the podcast tonight?
Nah, man, just stay blessed. R.I.P. Kobe. We couldn't get a chance to get that in when that was going down.
Yeah, we didn't get the pod. I did a corner 3 on it. I had my moment of sorrow for a couple days about him, and then I realized, wait, yeah, it was a celebrity death, and it kind of sucks. But I mean, we move on.
I mean, you got to.
Yeah, we move on. So.
Oh, also, in the great words of Drew, hit that like button, subscribe, comment,
rate, review, all that stuff on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen. We're there.
Yes, we are.
So I'm Casey Coggins, joined by Alvin Hebert.
Check you.
And we'll see you next week.